Today, Ted is talking about struck off property, what it means, and if it's a good investment.
Wow, welcome everybody. Glad to be here, and we're going to talk about something that's unusual. Now, I've been around the tax defaulted business for 30 years, and this comes up from time to time, so it's unusual. So what's strike off or struck off? What does that mean? Well, let's talk about the auction first, how we get to the auction, what happens at the auction, and then where this struck off comes from. So first of all the properties in the United States are taxable. Now, who said that? Well, the legislature makes the law for every single state. In every single state, they say you must pay taxes. Well, the legislature isn't the people that enforce it. They push it down and have the treasurer of the county. So the board of supervisors are the people that enforce all the rules. So if you don't pay your tax, what they're going to do, they're going to send you numerous notices of default because you didn't pay. Now, if you continue not paying, what's going to happen is the treasurer is going to levy against the property, and then they're going to confiscate it. That means they're going to take the property away. And what are they going to do? They're going to auction it.
I better go there.
All right, now, there's 3,000 plus counties across the United States. 3,000 counties, and they're going to have about 5,000 tax defaulted auctions this year. So there's plenty for everybody. This is a business of abundance once you learn how to do it. All right, now they're going to have this auction. So it's an open bid auction. So people just shout out the bids. So yell it out. Shout out the bids. So now they're bidding on the property. All right, now what happens if nobody bids? Oh my goodness, nobody ever thought of that. So what is the treasurer going to do? The treasurer said, well, what do we do? So they finish the auction, but they've got leftovers. They've got surplus. They've got properties that haven't sold. So what do? Well, there's new properties coming in default all the time. So they take those properties in bulk, maybe 10, 20, maybe 200 of them, and they move them to another list at the county offices. And they moved that, so they struck them off. They struck them like a big X. They struck them off the regular list, and then they move them over to a strike-off list, except it's not always called a strike-off list. Okay, so what could it be called? Well, I don't know because there's 3,000 plus counties, but I'll tell you some names I'm familiar with. One could be a forfeited lands list. So you could go to the county and find out these surplus lands are surplus lands, or they could be forfeited lands, or they could be leftover lands. You're getting the idea. So there's about 10 or 12 different names, but generally speaking, the county had to sell the properties. Why? Because people weren't paying the tax, and the county needs the tax money to pay the sheriff and the fire department and the police department. All right, so the county, they're not giving up. They didn't sell the property at that auction, so now they've taken them over to the county. Now, some savvy investors know about that list. Now, you know because you tuned in the video, right? All right, so now you know what a strike-off list is, and you know what a forfeited lands list is, you know what a surplus is, and you know what leftovers are. You're getting the idea. Okay, that's over at the county. That list is there. So what do you care? Well, here's why you care. Because you could go over to the county. You could just walk over there to the county, and you could say, do you have any leftovers? And they say, yeah, we got some leftovers. You could buy the leftovers, and there's no bidding. So Ted Thomas isn't going to be there, 7,000, 8,000, 10,000, all this bidding. It's just you. And then you say to the county, what do you want for it? And they say they want 5,000. Say, well, I'll give you 5,001. Sold. They're going to sell you that property. Now, you don't buy it that quick. You go out and check the property and look it over. You don't buy any property unless you look it over. You go to the county records, you make sure there's no government liens. You got to do it. You still have to do the same work you did for buying at the auction because you've got to do your due diligence. All right, now here's the point. I don't want to repeat the whole thing, but it's a strike-off list. All right, so the regular list, it's off that list, but it's over at the county. Anybody can go to the county and buy that property. Now, some people say it's all junk. I'm not going to tell you it's junk because what if it snowed that day in Seattle? Well, all those properties, half of them are going to end up on the strike-off list. Why? Because nobody showed up to bid. It snows, everybody stays home. You got the idea? Okay, well, every county is authorized by the legislature and the Board of Supervisors to conduct a tax defaulted auction. In other words, they levied against the property, they confiscated it, but the local government doesn't want to keep properties, and they have all these properties all over the county. They don't want them, so they just auction the property. If the property doesn't sell, they they've got to do something, because if they don't get rid of the property, what are they going to do?
Is this the same as finding a regular tax deed list?
Okay, so let me do a little clarifying here for everybody. Uh, if you went to Texas, every month they will have a property auction. It'll be a tax defaulted property auction. If they do not sell the property at the auction, the county doesn't give up. The county wants to get rid of this property because the county does not want a tax defaulted property. Now, the reason they don't want it is it's not producing revenue. The county must have revenue to pay the police department, the school teachers, the schools, fix the roads, pay the fire. The county's got to have money. So the auction took place. Let's say they sold 9 out of 10 properties. So there's only one left. What is it going to happen? Well, that property is going to be transferred on a piece of paper, transferred from one place to another place. All right. So the auctioneer now stops. He's finished, didn't sell. They're just going to transfer that property from a tax defaulted list over to a strike-off list. They happen to call them strike-off properties in Texas. If you went to South Carolina, they'd call it forfeited lands. If you went to Florida and they were leftovers, they'll call it surplus lands. If you went to Tennessee, they might be a different name. The point is, they're all properties that have been struck off the default list, and now they're over on a separate list because the county wants to sell. They want to sell because the property is not producing revenue. So they might drop the price. Why? Because they need to get all property on the honorable tax roll list. The county only gets money from the honorable tax roll list. Now, that's a little more complicated than the question. The question was, what is a strike-off list? It's properties that did not sell at the auction. They've now been transferred over to the county. And if you watch this video, you're 9 steps ahead of everybody else that ever asked me questions. If you wanted to learn this, I can't teach you everything I know on a 6 or 8 minute video. It's just impossible. I can't do that. As a matter of fact, I have every other week, twice a month, I offer people an all-day virtual workshop. That means you can sit on your rusty dusty at home, and you can sit and you can drink your water or your wine, and you can have your sandwich, and we'll educate you for 5 hours. It starts at 11 o'clock in the morning, goes all the way through until 5 in the afternoon. Now, I say 5 hours, usually runs about 6, but you're getting the idea. All right, so this all-day virtual workshop will give you the ABCs of tax lien certificates, tax defaulted property. You'll see people that actually buy and resell tax lien certificates. You'll see people that buy and resell tax defaulted property. You'll see actual people that do it, and they'll give you their secrets while they're doing it. So in a little video like this, I can only give you this much. So what I do is twice a month, I put on a virtual workshop. Now, it's not free. Let me say it again. It's not free. I'm not an internet marketer. If you want to learn this, you're going to spend $47 and you're going to come to that class. I don't care if you want to attend it 5 times, you can attend it 5 times. But if you want to attend it, you can now learn about the tax lien certificate business and the tax defaulted business. And I'm only in a couple of minutes with you here today, but what if we could spend 5 or 6 hours together? Would that change your trajectory on this business? It darn sure would. So all you have to do is go below me. You can sign up for that class. Sign up.